Good morning. This is Jason Dean coming live at you again for another Film Fanatic show. Hope everyone's doing good. So today's show is on a movie that I've been wanting to see for so long, and it's one of those experiences where it's something you've heard about. You developed a real thirst to see it, to even buy it. I had heard about this movie for quite a few years, and I realized that I had never seen it. And that movie is Vigilante. It came out in 1982, and it was directed by Bill Lustwig, or William Lustwig, who is really one of my all-time favorite directors, and I think one of the most important directors, but then also one of the most important figures just in general in regards to the world of exploitation, horror exploitation, and especially the slasher genre, which is my all-time favorite genre of all time. And Bill Lustwig directed Maniac, which is my all-time favorite slasher film. So, he's really, just an iconic personality. Anybody who's ever seen interviews with Bill Lustwig, he grew up and really started his career during the height of the whole exploitation time in cinematic or movie history. He was, he was living in New York during the time when all the grindhouse theaters were thriving, the late 70s and the early 80s. Really my favorite period of film, anything to do with film history, especially when it comes to my favorite style of filmmaking, and that is the world of exploitation. He was such a pivotal player in that entire scene, and one of the greatest directors. Also, he directed Maniac, and then went on to direct the probably the movies or franchise that he's probably most well known for, and that is the Maniac Cop series. He directed a few of the films, especially the first one, which I think is just an amazing film, and he was involved with the entire franchise and did direct other films. And Maniac is my all-time favorite slasher movie. It is, the most like gritty and low down. It's the most low down and dirty kind of film experience you can have. I mean, and it's, for me, it like captures the very essence of what New York was like in the late 70s, early 80s. And so I have kept hearing about this film Vigilante for a very long time, and I finally picked it up, and it's just I was completely blown away by this movie. This movie is just amazing, and it really was. I found myself just enjoying this movie so much. I picked this up a couple of weeks ago. I think it was, actually last week. I was in Bangor, Maine, and I went to Bull Moose Music, and I was up there for a doctor's appointment, so I didn't have all that much time. It was kind of early in the morning, and so it was kind of funny because my work schedule, I go to work earlier during the summer, and my appointment was in the morning, so I couldn't really. And I've been going up to Bangor for these doctor's appointments, for these dental appointments, so I've been going and then going to Bull Moose after, typically. But because of the summer schedule, there's less time for me to kind of dilly dally. So I have, I have to kind of plan a little bit better. So what I ended up doing, my plan was to go there right before my appointment. But I was running a little bit behind in time, and I didn't have all that much time, but I, kind of wanted to go there, and I needed to go, and so I went in, and I was in there for maybe 5 or 10 minutes, and I was like just going full bore, looking through the aisles, and I was like, okay, I gotta find something cool. Got to find something cool, and I picked up The Howling, which I did a show on, which was my last show that I uploaded, which is my all-time favorite werewolf movie. I was blown away by that. I've watched it, and it's just incredible. And then I picked up Vigilante, and I was just amazed. I was just like, oh shit, fuck yeah! I was super excited, super excited. And again, Vigilante, it didn't disappoint in uh, any way whatsoever. It's it's such a gritty, dirty movie, super raw, an amazing cast. Um, just incredible. It like totally captures the essence of what New York was like in that time period. Uh, an amazing cast. It came out in 1982. It's the epitome for me of just low down and dirty exploitation. It didn't disappoint in any way, shape, or form. Just amazing. This transfer of this movie is just incredible. Super, just so badass, and it totally lives up to the title in every way, shape, and form. And the cast is just amazing. I mean, you have Fred Williamson and Robert Forster, who is, he just recently passed away, but he was such an iconic actor. He made. It's funny because the first time I ever, and I'm pretty sure I had seen him in films growing up, over the years when I was a kid. But it had been years. I didn't really put two and two together. But I remember the time when I really started paying attention to Robert Forster, and I was like, "Oh, okay, this guy is an icon." Was when Jackie Brown came out, the amazing movie that was put out by Quentin Tarantino, and of course Tarantino, he really is so incredibly influenced by the world of exploitation, and of course he's a walking encyclopedia of film. And he's had this thing in his career where he's kind of like brought back actors and actresses that were, at one point had this incredibly high profile career, and then things changed, and then they were maybe out of work for a long time. He did that for John Travolta's career with Pulp Fiction. He did that also with Pam Grier, who was also in Jackie Brown. A whole slew of actors. And Robert Forster was one of those actors. And that Jackie Brown, which I think is an amazing movie, one of my favorite Tarantino movies, I just totally fell in love with Robert Forster's character in that movie. And then after that, I realized, wow, he really had, up until that point, had just a huge legacy of films that he had made. And Vigilante came out in 1982, and then, and after seeing Jackie Brown quite a few years ago, I started to kind of check out more of his films and got more and more familiar with his career, and realized like, wow, he was in so many movies in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Really iconic director, and he made all kinds of kind of great low budget exploitation movies, and he was kind of an iconic actor during that time. and was a very popular actor in many ways, along with, say, Pam Grier, who was also in Jackie Brown, who was the star, and she was, kind of the queen of black exploitation. So it was just a real revelation when I saw that movie, and it made me interested in his career because I just love his presence, everything about him, and it's amazing. He's super young in this movie, and it's just so badass. This movie is just the epitome of all things badass, and this Blu-ray transfer is just incredible. It did not disappoint in any way. It was better than I expected. It's really brutal. It's really gritty, and it's just a low down and dirty movie experience, and it's very satisfying. It lives up to the title. Great, fabulous music. The transfer of this movie on Blu-ray is just incredible. And the other thing that really got me super excited was this movie was put out by one of my favorite labels, and that is Blue Underground. And Blue Underground happens to be also a company that Bill Lustwig, the director, started. I'm not sure exactly when Blue Underground started, maybe like 10 years ago or so. Bill Lustwig, quite a few years ago, kind of retired from making films. And so he decided to start his own kind of company. And basically, Blue Underground is one of the best companies around. It's an amazing company. And basically, what Blue Underground does is it specializes in putting out all these beautiful editions of all of these great, super low budget, gritty exploitation movies. So many great movies. So many great editions of Lucio Fulci films. You name it. I mean, it's just an endless amount of titles. I have a lot of Blue Underground titles that I'm really, that I just love. And Blue Underground is one of my favorite companies. Their editions are amazing. And it goes back to why I think director Bill Lustwig, or William Lustwig, is, one of the greatest roles. One of the greatest, people, or personalities in the world of exploitation. He kind of really, he's always been, championing all of these films, and kind of unearthing all of these films that were so kind of forgotten about, and by putting out all of these amazing films that were such a part of the film experience back in the 70s and 80s, and were really influential on a lot of directors. Were very influential on a lot of horror films. I think when it comes to the horror world, without that period in the horror exploitation world, and especially with Bill Lustwig, his career, I think horror would be very different than it is now. Granted, it's very different in the Hollywood system, but still, he was ahead of the time, ahead of the curve, and just, I think, set the bar so high. And this film is just amazing. And, like, again, it's so well directed. Like, even on, it's super low budget, it's super gritty, it's super nasty. But from a direction, from the stance of looking at it, how it was just directed, it is astoundingly good. Like, really, really good. It's probably, as far as from the technical side of things, it's probably the best movie I've ever seen him do, that I've seen him direct. But it still is, just low down and nasty and dirty, like, like all of those tropes that you want for, an exploitation film. And it's just fabulous. There's a whole bunch of commentary tracks. There's not really any special features, which is a little bit disappointing, but there's full commentary tracks with all of the actors and Bill Lustwig, which I haven't listened to. I'm going to definitely check it out because this movie just totally kicks ass. Super excited. I got it really cheap. I got it for like $10. And you just never know what you're going to find there, and it's just fabulous. So I can't recommend this movie enough. 1982, primetime gritty exploitation at its best. Bill Lustwig, he's the man. So thanks again, and we will see you next time. Peace.